Good evening, Glenn. WA7FSH. Well, field day's over. Everything's all put away, packed up, gone. And I am doing laundry. So I thought I'd throw this stuff on the tailgate and give you a synopsis of my new favorite antenna. Alright. I talked for the last week and a half about building this 80 meter full wave 80 meter loop antenna. Here it is. Bam. Yep, what you see is Amazon had this 2 rolls of 200 feet, one red, one black, of 14 gauge wire for $35. I needed 300 feet, so I said 400 feet ought to be perfect. Well, I only actually needed 269 feet, and I trimmed that down from there. So what you're looking at there is about 267 and 4 inches, 267 and 5 inches of 14 gauge wire. Insulators. Cheapest place I could find them was $2.90 a piece. My buddy in his 3D printer made them for about 82 cents a piece. Connection device. See the little terminal connector here? It goes from a BNC to 2 wires. I used this because I was able to take it and connect the ends of my wire antenna to it, and then pull it off, trim it, cut some off, strip it, put it back on, and run, and check the match again. Okay? No unsoldering, no crimping, no nothing, just twist and go. Cut it off, twist and go. All right. And then my buddy Chris, this is his. And then he had this little adapter that goes from the BNC to an SO239. Right? All right. To the SO239, instead of the 4-to-1 balun, like all the instructions said, my Elmer said, well, what are you going to do that for? And I said, well, because that's what the YouTube videos said. Well, folks, this is going on YouTube. And all them other YouTube videos, full of poop. I'm just saying, I'd never do it. Absolutely. Not for an antenna that needs a 4-to-1 or a 1-to-1 balun. I wouldn't do it. This is so much easier, so much faster. No power loss like you would with a transformer, especially when a transformer gets warm. Starts eating up your wattage, starts eating up power. Nope. It's a dirty choke. All right. Minimum, I was told a minimum of 18 feet wrapped around. 25-foot piece of coax that I had laying around, and I have had it long enough that you cannot consider this part of the cost of the antenna. Especially when I cut 2 zip ties and I have a 25-foot piece of coax again. It's not cut, nothing done to it. All right, wrapped around a bottom end of a plastic bottle. Yeah, I mean, it's that easy. Then I got a 3-foot jumper. All right. Oh, down here on this end of the ugly choke is a little barrel connector. Okay. Gets me a 259 to a 259 on the jumper. Little barrel connector. 3-foot jumper. 3-foot jumper obviously went from that barrel connector there into the back of my tuner. Okay. And then what you see here are 6 pieces, 40 foot each piece of paracord. Now, you're going to say, well, that can't possibly be that inexpensive. It is when you buy them at the dollar store. I'm telling you, folks, 40 feet of paracord right there. Now, granted, it's not the dollar store anymore. It's the $1.25 store. But honestly, 6 pieces at $1.25 each. All right? That's dirt cheap. And I use my slingshot, and I use a 1-ounce lead fishing weight, and a little bit of 65-pound test fishing line, and shoot the lead weight with the fishing line tied to it up over a limb, down, cut the weight off, tie on the paracord, pull the paracord up with the insulator. You're set. You're ready to go. The great thing about these is these loops don't have to be in a great big loop. They don't even have to be in a perfect square. They can be, a zigzag. You can make them star-shaped if you have to. You can make them in a triangle. There are a lot of guys that are running them in triangles, and they work just fine. You can't cross over each other, and stuff like that, obviously. But yeah, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle or a perfect square. But it is the only reason I can think of why a person would not run a horizontal loop like this is because of the space required. But I'm telling you, this is the quietest antenna. I had no noise floor. And I was on 40 meters later in the evening, and I went up to 7.255, and I jumped on there and I simply started calling. And if you're any place west of the Rocky Mountains, you probably heard me, and it's a good shot. I may have logged you. I mean, honestly, it was silly. I got on there and I sat and I called. I made 2 30-second calls, all right, or about 30 seconds. And after that, it was simply QRZ. That was it. And I rattled off 31 contacts in less than 20 minutes with just what you see sitting here on the tailgate of my truck. I loved it. This was the most fun I have had. My partners didn't do so well, but they were all pretty new, and it was most of their first field days. And next year, I'll know what to direct them towards. I know I'll set a time limit, and I know I'll make everybody switch bands as we go along and whatnot. Just so everybody gets an opportunity. I'll put this mess up in the air a little earlier in the day so that everybody can come over and use it. But we ran everything off of these big AGM batteries. I literally hooked my Elenco to it and ran 100 watts for well over an hour, and I saw a 1/10 of a volt drop in my battery. That's all. Amazing. I don't know how long I could have run that radio like that. Like I said, I was hot and heavy for 20 minutes at 100 watts, and I mean that duty cycle was up there. And never a hiccup. But yeah, I mean, this was a great experiment. I don't know what I'm going to build next year. I really don't. I got to build something else because it's just the spirit of experimentation and trying new things. But I may end up building another one of these depending on next weekend, because next weekend I'm going over to Idaho to there's an old ham over there. His call sign's WA7CEB Charlie Echo Bravo, and he and I are going to put this up at his house and see what the noise floor there is. He lives close to Idaho Power's high transmission power lines that are next to the railroad tracks there. And so he's got a god ugly noise floor. So to see what happens, we're going to take this thing over there, keep it as far away from the tracks as we can, run it out there in a big loop. We'll see what happens. Anyway, That's the results of my experiment at Field Day. I had a fantastic time, and the antenna performed flawlessly. I had no idea it was going to be that easy and run that well, but I absolutely loved it. Anyway, Glenn, WA7FSH. If you're on social media, give me a like and a follow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.